Was there a time that you felt that StudioHawk's growth was kind of stunted? And what kind of decision or strategy did did you use to help break through that?
Yeah, there's been a couple points in the journey. Probably a couple years back, we had a real point where we've never really, touch wood, we've never really had a significant, you know, major downturn, but we've had certainly slow periods. A couple of years ago, coming back to that team structure, we had, um, too many cooks in that kind of management kitchen. Um, and I think, frankly, some people that either we weren't aligned with or they weren't aligned with the business, um, that had been there a long time and it had enormous contributions to the agency, but kind of had reached like or been in that ability of where they would align where the agency's going. Um, and so, we had a big plateau because I wasn't willing to make maybe the hard calls that I needed to make um, back then. Um, and so ultimately, I was forced to because of the growth of the business. And obviously, the business is bigger than any individual, including myself. I stepped back more from that CEO role because I was focusing on London and Australia, and I took more of that founder role, which is very different. And I set more of that departmental kind of focus and strength and took people away from billables to focus on running their departments and doing things that way. Ultimately, that allowed us to build a bigger marketing engine, and therefore better sales, and therefore better retention. Our retention improved massively just by having, it sounds obvious, to be having someone in charge of retention. Sales improved massively just by having someone in charge of sales, because previously we didn't have that structure. Um, and same with marketing. That allowed us to really get through those plateau periods.
Awesome. And you mentioned going from CEO step into
Mm.
founder. I'm just trying to put that in my head. I feel like I'd have a really difficult time doing that. How did you delegate that and like how did you navigate through that?
Well, I realized one of the biggest bottlenecks in the business, if someone said to me, I was in a class at MIT, I was doing like a course there in America, um, and the lecturer was talking about, boards and CEOs and all that kind of stuff. And they were sitting there saying, well, think about who's currently in charge of your business, even if it's you, and think about if you were objective, you were removed, you were hired as a consultant to work in this business and to come in, would this be the person you hire? Or is there someone else in the business that you think would be better? So I looked at that and I thought, you know what? Putting my ego aside, I don't like people management. I don't like going through KPIs. I don't like setting budgets. I don't like doing all that stuff. That's the role of a CEO. That's the role of a general manager. So why the hell would I employ myself to do this? No, I wouldn't, frankly. I would employ myself to strategic direction of the organization, more of a board role I would put myself in. And that was hard because so much my identity had been being the CEO of Studio Hawk, calling the shots on a day-to-day basis. And if you're not the CEO, make no mistake, you don't get to call the shots. You maybe get to overrule very few things from a board level, but the actual day-to-day operations are not up to you. Who you hire, who you fire is not your choice anymore. But I looked at it and I thought, well, if I want to have a real growing organization, I'm not going to be the bottleneck of this thing. And I'm going to put my ego and my pride to the side and realize that there's a better person for this job. Hence, I put Lawrence as the general manager of Australia. Um, and since then, we've grown massively, because you've got to have the right people in the right seats, just like you've got to know where your seat is. I'm much better focused at the strategic direction. What's next? What should we be doing? Working across London to innovate, working across our expansion in the US. That's a much better role for me. Um, and yeah, it's important to know your place.
If you've gotten value from this clip and you'd like to watch another like it, click here. It's one of them. Now that I know that you stayed around until the end, you're either an agency owner or work at an agency. So with that said, if you're hiring for an SEO or a paid media role and you'd like help to recruit this talent for you, like I've done for at least probably about 100 plus companies now with an average placement period of 25 days and a 1-year satisfaction guarantee on all placements. Then there's 2 links in the description below. So if you need help with hiring, either click the link and book a strategy call with me or my team. Thank you, and I hope you found value from this clip.